Apps can do a lot of cool things. You could order dinner, gamble on your favorite team, and track your health. You could even get a mortgage. One click and you can be approved. I'm not sure by who or what country they're in. You deserve more from the mortgage industry. At AnyMac Home Mortgage, we believe in the need for live human interaction during a very complex process. The kind of service and guidance which an app simply can't provide. Our customers are more than credit scores and income documents. They're individuals and families who live in and strengthen our communities. Their story is our story, and that story begins in a home. Chris Sawyer is an expert on providing superior customer service and in meeting the mortgage needs of current and future home buyers. With over 18 years of experience in the industry, Chris is able to help customers migrate through the home buying and home financing process by using his wealth of knowledge as a well-qualified mortgage professional. And best of all, Chris is located in Cromwell, Connecticut, where he has helped hundreds of clients in Connecticut, Massachusetts, and Rhode Island make their dreams of home ownership a reality. Visit chrissawyer.any-mac.com. Email him at csawyer@any-mac.com or give him a call, 860-878-8730.
Chris Sawyer, NMLS number 39345, corporate NMLS number 338923. AnyMac Home Mortgage is an equal housing lender. American Neighborhood Mortgage Acceptance Company, LLC. DBA AnyMac Home Mortgage. Lo-Fi Direct. Connecticut First Mortgage Correspondent. License lender. Broker number ML 338923. Massachusetts Mortgage Lender and Mortgage Broker License number MC 338923. Rhode Island License Lender. License number 201128110L. Call for additional details.
Jones on first down, wide open, it's Barkley, and Saquon Barkley will take it into the end zone.
Your best ability is availability. Saquon Barkley, he's great when he's on the field, but the problem is since 2018, he hasn't been healthy for this team.
Look at this, they lob it to him, he taps it in off the glass. How about that?
Porter Moser, I think right now is the best coach of college basketball, hands down.
Vince 2 for 3, he's done his part.
Pitch is drilled to deep right field toward the pole, and it is gone.
They don't mind not being what they were in the 90s as the best organization in baseball, because the Yankees are not. They're even close to the best organization in baseball.
They're trying to be the Rays, and the Rays do this for a reason. Like, you're the Yankees.
Welcome to Sports Talk with R&J. I am Steve Risser, along here with Justin D'Onofrio, and we are here. It is Championship Sunday in the NFL, and we could not have asked for a better matchup to start it in the AFC Championship game with Patrick Mahomes and Lamar Jackson. You got the reigning MVP against the guy who's probably going to win the MVP. So this should be a really, really exciting game between these two teams. And I think this is going to be a great game. I think this is going to be a great game. It's going to be a close game. I think both teams are going to have success on the ground. They're going to have success on the ground with Pacheco. They're going to have success on the ground with the Ravens have success on the ground with Gus Edwards. I think both teams have a lot of success on the ground in this game. I think that both quarterbacks play well. I think that the defenses are pretty good as well. I think this is a close game. I think it comes right down to the end. But here's one thing about the Ravens defense this year. 4 times the Ravens have had the lead late in the fourth quarter of games when they've been in a 1-score game. 4 times they've had the lead. All 4 times they've given up the lead. Against the Colts in week 3, against the Steelers in week 5, against the Browns in week 10, and against the Rams in week 14. They've given up a lead. So I think that here's the scenario. This is how it's going to be. The Ravens are up 2 points late. Patrick Mahomes has the ball in his hands, and he leads the Chiefs on a game-winning drive, and they kick a game-winning field goal, and the Chiefs go to their 4th Super Bowl in 5 years, winning it 24-23 over the Ravens. But, Justin, can Lamar beat Mahomes and get to his first Super Bowl?
I think he can. This is his year. You know, they got the home field advantage. Their defense has been playing really well the last couple of weeks. And for the Chiefs, no disrespect to them. They take care of their business, but they played up with Miami team that's really banged up defensively. And last week they played a Bills team that, we're down so many guys as well defensively, and they're down to 3 linebackers at one point in that game, and they did whatever they wanted to. And now this Baltimore defense, which this year, as you mentioned, they've given up the lead 4 times, or lost a game. And this defense has really been playing well though since that Rams game. And I think the way Lamar Jackson's playing, they absolutely stepped on the Texans' throat in the second half last week. I think they make enough plays, and I think the Ravens defense does a good job. And I think in this game the Chiefs just at times get this has been the problem all year. They get too cute at times offensively with their play calling, especially near the red zone. And I think the Ravens, you know, at home, Lamar makes enough plays, and I got the Ravens going to the Super Bowl this year.
Yeah, I mean, you made a good point about the Chiefs, and then I saw Adam Schefter's report they might not have Joe Tooney, but here's the thing: to me, it comes down to experience. It comes down to experience, and Mahomes has more experience in these big spots than Lamar. And I know the Ravens are the better team. I know they're the favorite in this game, but I think Mahomes just has the experience. He's been to the conference championship game 6 years in a row. Lamar's only been once, so I think a big part of this game is going to be what's going to happen to these teams when they get into the red zone. I think the Chiefs are going to cash in the red zone. I think the Ravens are going to kick field goals. I think the Chiefs will cash in. The Ravens kick field goals. That's why I think they're going to win. But I mean, this should be an awesome game between these two teams. I mean, the Ravens have been the best team in the AFC all year. The Chiefs have been the best team in the AFC. Have been the top team in the AFC the last 6 years. So something has got to give on Sunday between these two teams. I think this is the matchup. This is the best matchup we could have gotten in the AFC.
Yeah, absolutely. Right now the way the Ravens are playing, you can argue like they've been playing the best football in the league right now. And yeah, the Chiefs are right there. They looked pretty good so far in the playoffs, and this is definitely to the top teams right now. And I guess whoever won that Kansas City Buffalo game against Baltimore would have been a great matchup. Anyways, but yeah, the way that these two teams are playing, it's definitely gonna be a great matchup. And two quarterbacks that have won MVPs. I know Lamar now is trying to get his first Super Bowl. And yeah, it should be a great game between these two.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely, and really speaking of Lamar Jackson, this is kind of our next question about Lamar. If Lamar wins this game, is Lamar the second best QB in the league if he wins this game? And I would say yes, because if he wins this game, he has 2 MVPs, which Joe Burrow or Josh Allen don't have, and he has a Super Bowl appearance. The only thing Joe Burrow has on Lamar Jackson right now is a Super Bowl appearance. But if Lamar wins this game, he would have that over Joe Burrow if the Ravens win this game.
Yeah, I agree with you. With Lamar, he's got that kind of ability to be able to run the football like he does, and I think he's gotten better as a passer each season. And now with those multiple MVPs, he's about more than likely he's going to get a second MVP here in the coming weeks. And yeah, he hasn't. They might get Mark Andrews back this week, but like he really hasn't had that elite number one wide receiver. He really hasn't had great wide receiver core throughout his career so far, and he still put up really good numbers. They've kind of really built the offense well around him. So, again, Joe Burrow has the better arm than Lamar does, but I think all around, yeah, Lamar needs that Super Bowl appearance to kind of tie Joe Burrow now. And yeah, I think if he gets that, if they win this week, I agree with you.
Yes, and Hector has a comment. Do you think Roquan Smith can make a difference? Do you think Roquan Smith can make a difference in the Ravens defense to interrupt the Chiefs offense? I think it's a big key. I'm happy Hector admitted that. We'll get back to Lamar. We'll get back to Lamar for that. But Hector, that's a great point about Roquan Smith. I think he's outside of Fred Warner, he is the best middle linebacker in football. And he can stop the run, he can stop the pass. That is a big key to this game: is can the Chiefs run the football? And that's been the biggest success the Chiefs have had throughout the playoffs. The reason they've had success because they've been able to run the ball. So Roquan Smith can be a humongous difference maker in this game. If the Chiefs run games gets shut down, it's going to be very, very hard for them to win the game. Seeing the recent report too about Joe Tooney.
Yeah, absolutely. Roquan Smith could definitely have an impact in this game because, you mentioned the Chiefs have run the football better in the in the playoffs. When in the regular season they ranked 19th in rushing offense. So, if Baltimore could kind of be able to stop that running game and make the Chiefs more one-dimensional, and we've seen kind of with their problems this year with the wide receivers and the drops at times, and where Mahomes doesn't seem to trust all of his wide receivers this year. Yeah, if they can stop the running game, Roquan Smith gonna have a huge difference in this game. And the way the Ravens defense has been playing the last couple of weeks, if they can slow down that running game, they got a great chance to win the game.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. So that's the biggest key. Really, this game is really about stopping the run and running the football. We know these two quarterbacks are really good, But the thing is if you could stop the Chiefs' run game and force that offense to be one-dimensional, with their receiving core, it's not that great. And then if you could stop the Ravens' run game, Lamar he's still a top quarterback, but he's not as good if the Ravens aren't running the football.
Yeah, absolutely. We've seen when Lamar, is able to kind of take off and run and those design runs, he's been really effective. But yeah, if you make him kind of strictly a pocket passer, you've seen more struggles from him in that offense this year. And yeah, same thing with Mahomes. Like, yeah, you make him one dimensional. With the wide receiver core that they've had this year, they haven't totally always been on the same page this year. And both these defenses have played really, really well this year. And especially for like, because Baltimore's got the best rushing offense in the league, and yeah, they get ahead of you, and they're able to kind of run the football, and you really can't stop it. It could get out of hand ugly like it did, last week for the Texans. So yeah, whoever could stop the run better in this one's got a great shot to win the football game.
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. And going back to Lamar, I think it's pretty easy to say he's the second best quarterback in the league if he wins this game because, as I said earlier, he's got a Super Bowl appearance. He would have a Super Bowl appearance, and that would equal Joe Burrow. But he has 2 MVPs, and Burrow has none. And over Josh Allen, he would have a Super Bowl appearance as well. And the only thing Allen has over those two guys there is he's able to stay healthy. So yeah, I think it's clear. It's clear that if Lamar wins this game, he's the second best quarterback in football behind Mahomes.
Yeah, I agree with everything you just said. He would get that Super Bowl appearance. He's definitely the injuries have been a concern over the years, but this year he's been able to stay healthy. Yeah, to be able to tie Burrow there with the Super Bowl appearances, maybe he could win the whole thing. The way they're playing, and if they get the Niners, and if they get the Niners or Lions, we've already saw the Ravens blew out both of them this year already. So, the Ravens would be looking pretty good to win the whole thing. So, yeah, absolutely. Lamar and just that running ability too. It just and the way he's been able to develop as a passer, it's just it's so tough to stop him, especially if they get out in front of you. So, I got Lamar if they win this game, being the second best quarterback in the league.
And and you led me to my last point about this game. Does the winner of this game win the Super Bowl? And I think absolutely. I think the winner of this game wins the Super Bowl because I just can't see either Brock Purdy. I know the Niners have a better roster than both these. I mean, the rosters with the Ravens and Niners are close, and we know, and the Niners clearly have a better roster than the Chiefs. But I just can't see Brock Purdy beating Mahomes or Lamar, and I can't see, even though the Lions beat him earlier in the year, I can't see Jared Goff beating Mahomes or Lamar in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I think if Baltimore wins, I think they do win the whole thing. I think if Kansas City wins and the Niners win, I do think the Niners get them this time around in a rematch. I think that Niners offense would play well enough in that game. So Baltimore wins, yes. Kansas City, if it's Kansas City and San Francisco, I do think the Niners beat the Chiefs at the moment.
Yeah, that's interesting. Just in my opinion, I just think that the winner of this game is going to win the championship. I think the winner of this game wins it. I mean, no, and listen, the Lions or 49ers, they very easily can win the Super Bowl. I just think because of quarterback play, I just think that's why the winner of this game wins the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I could see it. I know the Super Bowl being a dome because I know Purdy's got we saw it for Sunday night he struggled, or Saturday night he struggled in the rain there for a while. But if Debo's healthy, I think the Niners offense is good enough to be able to put up some points, and the Niners, they're very vulnerable against the run. But I think the Niners just and obviously I'd take Mahomes over Brock Purdy any of the week, but I think the Niners with the roster, I think they'd find a way. I know it was a couple years ago, but they were up 10, and I know Shanahan kind of blew that game with the play calling and stuff. But I really like that Niners roster, and I think if they get there and they play the Chiefs, I think they'd make enough plays, and I think with their offensive weapons, I think Purdy makes enough plays to get the win.
Yeah, it should be a good game between the Chiefs and Ravens to kick off championship weekend. But we will move on to the next game, and that is between the Lions and the Niners. And I think this is going to be another really good game. I think this is going to be another really good game between these two teams. But I think the difference in this game is I think the Niners and both teams, I don't think are going to run the ball great because both run defenses are really good. But I think that the Niners will run the ball better than the Lions. And I do think Purdy is going to make less mistakes than Jared Goff. I think Goff's going to make a mistake. Goff's going to make plays in this game, I think Goff's going to make plays on this Niners secondary. I think he's going to get the ball to St. Brown. I think he's going to get the ball to Laporta. But I do think he's going to make that one bad mistake. And ever since he's been with the Lions, he's not been as good outside of Detroit as he's been. He's not been as good on the road as he's been at home. So I do think Goff's going to make a mistake and make a big mistake in this game. And for the Niners, I think Brock Purdy's going to have a bounce back week. I think he's going to play pretty well. I think he's going to be able to attack this Lions secondary. I think George Kittle's going to have a big game. I think Brandon Ayuk's going to have a big game. We'll see about Deebo Samuel if he plays or not. But I think this game comes right down to the end between these two teams. I think with the ball in Jared Goff's hands, but I've got the Lions defense. Unlike the Ravens defense, I got the Niners defense making a stop. And that's why I got the Niners going to the Super Bowl to face the Kansas City Chiefs for a rematch of 4 years ago. I got the Niners beating the Lions 27-20. But Justin, can Jared Goff get another team to the Super Bowl?
I think they come up just short in this one at the Niners as well, 31-27. I think he can play pretty well against the Niners defense. We saw Aaron Jones had a big game had a pretty good game on the ground last week against the 49ers. I think
better game than we thought. A lot of those yards came on that one run when they missed the field goal on that drive, but better game than we thought.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think the Lions can have some success there on the ground, and I do think Goff can make some plays against the secondary. And I do think they can keep it close in this one. And the thing too is, with Campbell's aggressiveness, and we saw at the end of the half there, Shanahan being so conservative that maybe it's one of those things where that could come back to haunt Kyle Shanahan. Shanahan, we've seen that happen in the past. So, and you were right last week when we kind of discussed Shanahan has not come back when his team's trailing by 7 or more points. That is something. But I expect, I just don't think the Lions defense make enough stops. Like the Buccaneers, it felt like the Buccaneers most of that game. I always watching that game kind of felt like the Bucs always kind of had a chance to take that game and win it. They were never able to do it, but it kind of felt like, very easily they could win that football game. The same thing with the Rams. Like the Rams easily could have won that game as well. So I do think in this one, I just don't think the Lions defense makes enough plays. I think Goff keeps them in it, but just cannot duel Brock Purdy in that offense.
Yeah, I agree. I think that I think it's close. I think that it's a really good game, but I just think the Niners get it done. The Niners are just the better team. They got the better roster. They got the better. I think the more experienced coach, the more experienced team, better roster. So that's why I think they get to the Super Bowl. But here's a big thing though going into the game though is Deebo Samuel is 50-50 going into this game. The big question is how big of a loss would it be if Deebo can't play on Sunday against the Lions? And I think it's going to be a big one because if you look at the Niners, I think they're 8-9 in games that Deebo hasn't played in. They're 1-3 in games that he's either not played in or he's not finished. So, and Brock Purdy's numbers 4 touchdowns, 5 picks in games that he's either not finished or not played in. So I think this would be a loss for the Niners if Deebo can't play. He's 50-50 right now, though.
Yeah, I think this could be definitely a tough loss. But for me, I think that means Brandon Ayuk kind of got to step up. Juwan Jennings got to play well, which he did step up last week. He had 4 catches for 75 yards. But the Lions have been so bad at guarding number 1 wide receivers. Like Keenan Allen, when they played him since week 10, Keenan Allen went for it was 11 catches for 175 yards. DJ Moore had 96 yards against him in week 11. Week 12, Christian Watson had 94 yards. Like you kind of keep going through the rest of the year. They've really struggled against number 1 wide receiver. So I think Brandon Ayuk could have a huge day, against that line secondary. And then also, I think for the Lions, it's tough to double team Ayuk or Deebo Samuel because then that kind of opens up things for Christian McCaffrey out of the backfield or Greg Kittle. So I think, whoever's that number 1 receiver is going to have a huge game. Obviously, if you have Deebo, that helps even more. But I think Brandon Ayuk can step up and get the job done for this team.
Yeah, I think he definitely could. And but Purdy's got to be better. I think the biggest thing is Purdy's got to be better this week. He was not that good last week until the last drive. He's got to be better because he's facing a defense that's a little bit better this week. Because Detroit's defense is a little bit better than the Packers, so he's got to be better. Last week he was not sharp until that last drive. but he definitely has to be better if this team's going to get over. If this team is going to get to the Super Bowl, not lose their third straight AFC Championship game and get to the big game.
Absolutely, they do, and I know that story came out yesterday about
And
they were looking
I
into
think I might have
Brady.
said it. I think I might have said AFC. I meant NFC there.
Yeah, I forgot that's what you meant. But there is pressure on Purdy because that story came out yesterday about they were Shanahan went to him and said if we can bring in Brady, he's going to be the starter. So yeah, there's a ton of pressure for him to kind of get this thing done, and he talked, and this whole team's kind of talked about if Purdy was healthy last year, we would have beat the Eagles in the NFC Championship game. So I think for this team, and for Purdy, yeah, they know they got to get this thing done, and you're definitely playing a good team in Detroit that's really good at stopping the run, and he should be able to have success against a secondary that's really struggling. You saw Baker Mayfield go up and down the field against them last week. You saw, we've seen the Rams go up and down the field. So we saw Nick Mullins throw for 400 yards against this defense. So I think Brock Purdy should be able to bounce back in this game, and it's at the moment supposed to be nice out, no rain or anything. So I do expect them to play a lot better this week.
Yes, I'm happy you brought up last year too, because really there's no excuse for the 49ers. They have to win this. There's no excuses if they lose this game. Because last year they made a bunch of excuses with the quarterbacks getting hurt. There's zero excuses. Those excuses go out the window right now. They have got to win this game.
Yeah, absolutely, they do. It's must win for this team because this team's got too much talent not to get there. And look, the Lions have had a great season, and it's been great to see their run here. And I know if they win Sunday, that city's going to burn down to the ground. So I feel like the Lions kind of go in this one. Nobody's giving them a chance. Like they can kind of go in there, play freely, and kind of not much to lose in this game. So. Yeah, for the Niners, there's a lot of pressure on them, but they got to go out there and they got to finish this thing, and they got to get back to the Super Bowl because they've talked a lot about that and about last year, the way it ended, and they got to back it up by winning this football game because they're the better team.
They definitely do. They absolutely do. They absolutely do. So before we wrap and move on to the coaching carousel, we'll talk. The question going into this game for me is the quarterbacks and which one you would take. And between Goff and Purdy, and I would take the guy in Detroit. I'll take Jared Goff. And I know Brock Purdy had really, really good numbers, and I know he's better throwing the ball down the field than people think he is. But if you're telling me which quarterback am I taking right now, I'm or in this game, I would take Jared Goff. Even though I think the 49ers would win, I'm gonna take Jared Goff in this game over Brock Purdy. I just think Jared Goff has done more with less, and I know Goff has had pieces with St. Brown, with Sam Laporta, and he's had one of the best offensive lines in football. But if you look at Brock Purdy, he's had Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, George Kittle, Trent Williams, one of the best tackles in football. His roster is stacked, and he's got a great defense behind it too. He's got a stacked roster. Goff does not have the roster he has. He pretty much put up the same numbers, and the Lions' record was very close to the 49ers' record. So if you're asking me which quarterback am I taking right now, I'm taking Jared Goff.
Yeah, I'm with you. I get Jared Goff. I think Ben Johnson, this line's kind of coaching staff, I think they've done a really great job of kind of rebuilding him since coming over from LA. He's a guy that in LA threw a lot of picks. And I know, he had Sean McVay, who's, the QB whisperer or whatever, with that offense. But I think he's done a really good job with him of kind of fixing up, getting him into a better spot. And look, kind of early October, you kind of, maybe he's the guy that could win the MVP this year. I know he kind of had a couple rough games and that kind of went by the wayside. But yeah, I really like the way Jared Goff's kind of coming to Detroit here, has had the chip on the shoulder. And look, Brock Purdy's had a really good year. The Mr. Irrelevant story. But yeah, last week he really struggled in the weather. That 3-game stretch there where, they lost those 3 football games. They were not great. In that Cleveland game where it was raining, he didn't play well either. So, Brock Purdy's been a great story. But yeah, I think the time maybe he's a little bit too inconsistent there. Didn't play well last week for most of that one till the final drive. So yeah, in this one I'd take off over Purdy.
Yeah, I mean it's not a knock on Brock Purdy. I think he's done a really good job as the Niners starting quarterback. But the thing about Purdy is when I know he brought him back from behind last week, but on that one drive, I'll give him credit for that. But usually when this Niners team gets behind, he struggles. And even when he has Debo Samuel out, even if he has one piece out of all of the weapons he has, if he has one of them out, he struggles. I think Jared Goff can do. I know neither quarterback's great. Don't get me wrong, but I just think Goff could do more with less.
Yeah, I'm with you. And I think he's been able to kind of show that because that Niners offense, they got so many pieces. McCaffrey, Debo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk's turning a really nice wide receiver as well. And I know Detroit's had some guys this year kind of banged up, and they have Jameson Williams the whole year. And and with that running game, like this offense has been so good under Jared Goff the last couple of years, and I think Jared Goff has really taken this opportunity in Detroit and really ran with it and really has rebuilt his reputation as a quarterback. And I think with him, you put him, and he's done a little bit more with he's been able to do a little bit more with less than Brock Purdy.
Absolutely. So, it should be a really good game between these two teams in the conference championship game. I mean, I'm really excited for it. Should be a really good one between these two. And for me, I got the Chiefs and the Niners winning this week. This actually was my Super Bowl in the preseason, so I can't not pick it now. This was my Super Bowl in the preseason, the Chiefs and the Niners, so I got to stick with it.
Nice, yeah, nice call. So I got Ravens, Niners. I think preseason on the Bills or the Chiefs against the Eagles. I think so. Yeah, mine are both on here, but I'll take the Chiefs.
You bought into the Eagles again.
Yeah, I did. I don't know why I did that. Yeah, that was a wrong move on my part there. But so I'll take Ravens Niners here for the Super Bowl. That was what now over what 12 years ago now. So
11 years ago. It was 2012.
11.
It is the 2023 season, so 11 years ago.
Okay, 11 years ago. So I'll take that rematch there between the two Harbaugh brothers in it. Shaping up, it could be the year of the Harbaughs with both of them.
I know. It would be fitting to have it be Jim Harbaugh and John Harbaugh both win Super Bowls. So it would be fitting to see both of them win Super Bowls. No, I mean championships. I mean, John won the national title and Jim won the Super Bowl.
Yeah. Be a cool thing. Be cool to see both those guys win one.
Absolutely. So we will now move on to the coaching carousel. And speaking of Harbaugh, there have been rumors that he is close to a deal with the Chargers, but he is interviewing with the Falcons today. So it looks like he'll have a choice of jobs, either the Falcons or the Chargers. And let's just say he goes to the Chargers. Let's see if Jim Harbaugh goes to the Chargers. If he did go there, how much would that improve Justin Herbert? Would Justin Herbert become a top 5 quarterback?
Oh, I think he could absolutely, because you look at the three, his head coach at Oregon. My thoughts on Mario Cristobal. I think that hurt him, and I think it held him back. And then he had Anthony Lee his rookie year, which we know how much of a mistake that was. And then Brandon Staley the last couple of years, so he has not had a good head coach. Like I think you could put this guy around a Jim Harbaugh. You saw what he was able to do with JJ McCarthy and kind of what he's been able to do with the quarterbacks he's had. So absolutely, I think you get if you compare him up with Justin Herbert. I think the sky's the limit for Justin Herbert, and I think that'd be such a great move for his career to be able to have Harbaugh kind of build him up and have him play under him, because I think that'd be huge for him. So I think he could absolutely be a top 5 quarterback in the league.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. So yeah, if he goes to the Chargers, yes, I think the Chargers will be next year be close to a Super Bowl contender. Their defense is still pretty good. The defense has some talent. It wasn't good last year, but it has talent on it. And we'll see what happens. We'll see. Keenan Allen is getting up there in age, and we'll see what happens with Mike Williams. But yeah, if he goes there, that'd be a really good fit. They're definitely a playoff contender, and definitely could be a Super Bowl contender if he goes there next year.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a loaded AFC, which we know, and with all those quarterbacks are all healthy, it's tough to get through that gauntlet in there. But yeah, I think with Harbaugh, we've seen he's won wherever he's gone. So I wouldn't doubt it that one of these years they kind of break that curse there, and with that organization where they've been so close for so long, and they haven't been able to break through. And I think with Justin Herbert and Harbaugh, that very likely seems to change.
Oh yeah. Oh, definitely. I think it definitely changed. If you put those two together, I think it definitely changes. And as I said earlier, He's already interviewed twice with the Chargers, and he's going to interview with the Falcons today. But we'll move on to a coach who has interviewed twice with the Falcons. That is Bill Belichick. And the big question is Bill Belichick going to become the head coach of the Falcons? And from what I've been hearing, I don't think so. There's a good chance Bill Belichick is going to be out of a job next year, which even though he lost his fastball a little bit, that's still crazy to think that teams would pass up on arguably the greatest coach of all time. It's still crazy to think that.
Yeah, would I still think he lands there? I think I think he'll maybe still end up there, unless if he really wait. I know he wants that Shula record, and I don't think he can wait another year to kind of sit out, unless if he knows next season there's a job that's gonna 100% open that he could land. I do think they do figure out a way, unless it's something just behind the scenes they go right. Like I could see if the Falcons are not going to give him power, and maybe he still really wants to, buy his own groceries. I could definitely see them kind of going against, if he wants to be able to do that and the Falcons told him no, or they didn't give him a ton of power for that, I could totally see him being out of the job next year. But if he really wants Shula's record, and he really wants to get the all-time wins, I do think he'd end up in Atlanta, but, I guess we'll see.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we'll see what happens there. I thought he was getting this job early on. I thought he was getting this job, but as time has gone on, I think the Falcons front office is not too big on him. But we know Arthur Blank is, and he's the boss, so it's gonna be close. But I think he's out. I don't think he gets a job this year. It's crazy to think this, but I don't think he gets a job, Belichick.
Yeah, it would be weird if that does not happen. It's gonna be weird not seeing him on the sidelines anywhere. I don't know if you go TV or he just take the year off and do whatever he wants. But maybe him and Nick Saban do like a podcast or something. That would be
exactly. That'd be nice. That'd be fun to listen to.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So maybe those two do something. But we'll see. It'll be weird out on the sidelines. I'm hoping to see him on the sideline somewhere. Atlanta would be a cool spot because Atlanta too. I think they come to 5 for 2025, so there would have been that.
They do. It'd be similar to what Brady did 4 years ago.
Yeah,
similar to Brady.
Yeah. Yep. Yes, it would have been. So, it would be cool to see that. But yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, we will. I mean, it'll be interesting to see where the Falcons go and what direction they go in here. But we will get to some teams that have hired head coaches, and the Raiders did hire. They did it. They hired Antonio Pierce. The Raiders did hire Antonio Pierce as their head coach. I like this hire. I really do. The team went 5-4 after Josh McDaniels got fired. This team played for him. The defense was improved for him. The offensive coordinator hire is going to be key for him because you have to have a good offense in this league. And I don't know about how Pierce is with offense. We know on the defensive side of the ball he's good. I don't know how he is on the other side of the ball, but he feels like he's a leader of men. And it feels like the Raiders did this because of the mistake they made 2 years ago, not hiring Rich Bisaccia and hiring Josh McDaniels. I think the Raiders, that the players wanted this. Devontae Adams wanted it. Max Crosby pretty much was going to request a trade if this didn't happen. So I like this hire. I like this hire for the Raiders.
Yeah, I'm going back and forth. I'm like in between on it. And I get the players wanted him, but sometimes you can't let the players dictate, some of the decisions like this. I'm like, because when LeBron signed with Miami, he went to Pat Riley and wanted Eric Spoelstra out. And Pat Riley told him to go pound. Could you imagine if there was anybody else and they got rid of Spoelstra? Like, that guy's one of the best coaches in the history of the NBA. Like, sometimes the players don't know all. Like, I get it. You want to play for him, and Adams and Crosby could have, asked for a trade and all that. But I get with the Bisaccia thing 2 years ago. You made a mistake there. I hope that wasn't all Davis considered here for just to hire Pierce. That's all I'm kind of hoping. I thought too he was too conservative. Like in that Colts game, they still had a chance for the playoffs, and he punted 3 times the second half inside the Colts 50. You're playing for the job. You got to be aggressive. So I don't know. I hope maybe he learns to be a little bit more aggressive. Yeah, we'll see the OC hire. And he did coach Jaden Daniels when he was at Arizona State. So there is some familiarity there. Again, I think they're so we'll see if they trade up or anything to try to get Daniels, but that's something interesting too. If he goes out, if he's got his eyes on Jaden Daniels, but we'll see what they do there.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be hard for them to trade up for Jaden Daniels because there's 3 quarterback needy teams at the top of the Bears. We'll see what the Bears do, but definitely but definitely those Commanders and Patriots definitely need a quarterback. So I don't know if he's going to be able to trade up for Jaden Daniels, but you made good points there about being conservative. He has to be more aggressive. He has to be engaged with the offense. The offense can't be terrible. It's got to be really good, and he's got to be more engaged with the offense. But I just like the way this team played at the end of the year, finishing 5-4, because it was a disaster with Josh McDaniels, and he's starting to change the culture. He's starting to try to change the culture with the Raiders.
Yeah, absolutely. That's been an organization where they've had a lot of problems over the years for the last 2 decades or so now, or just about. There's been a lot of problems there. There have not been a lot of winning. So somebody. He's kind of got them old school kind of mentality, you hope he kind of gets more aggressive as time goes on. He learns as becoming more of a head coach here because he's still a young guy. He's still in his late 30s. So you hope he kind of gets better. And hopefully that culture could kind of turn around. It seems like it has. The players do like him, but we'll see. That the organization's just been such a mess here, and they're trying to build a fan base in Vegas. It's the same thing with the Chargers, and I've read like those 2 fan base, because LA, nobody cares about the Chargers in LA. The Raiders, it's like a 50, usually there's more road fans than Raider fans at their home game. So they're trying to build build the fan base as well there. So it's a big hire for the Raiders. And look, I hope it turns out well for, Pierce and the Raiders, and they could kind of turn things around, because that's a tough division. And, it's especially Harbaugh goes to Chargers. It's not going to be easy to win many divisional games in that league.
No, you brought it up. You're going to have to face Patrick Mahomes. Who knows if Andy retires, you're still going to have to face Mahomes. You could very easily have Jim Harbaugh there, and then even Sean Payton. I know he's not been great in Denver so far, but you even have Sean Payton in that division. So it's going to be a tough division for him. If Harbaugh goes to the Chargers, it's going to be a very tough division for him to compete in.
Yeah, it absolutely will. So, they got to get this right. They got to get the quarterback right. You mentioned too, they got to get the OC right. So it's a big off season. They got to, they got Adams, who's one of the best wide receivers, and Max Crosby's one of the best. He's very underrated as a defensive player, the way he can wreck games. So, they got the stars, on both sides, and now, they could hopefully put it all together here for him, and hopefully compete in the AFC West again.
Exactly. So we'll see what happens there. Quickly before we wrap up and move on, we'll talk about Brian Callahan to the Titans. We'll see about this hire. I think the reason they made the hire, though, and they got rid of Variable, is they want a young offensive mind with a young quarterback in Will Levis. That's why I think the Titans made this hire, and a guy who's going to be on the same page with their GM, Rand Carthon.
Yeah, I completely agree with you, Callahan. Yeah, this really means that they believe in Will Levis, and we'll see if he's just a good play caller, if he can lead, or if he could be a good leader in that locker room. So, we'll see how it turns out, and we'll see what they do at the kind of OC spot. Do they go get Will Levis's OC at Kentucky, Liam Cohen, and bring him in? Because that was the best year he had there at Kentucky. So we'll see if they do that. We'll see what they do. But Callahan seems like Titans are all in on Will Levis.
So we got a coach that won an NBA title who is back on the floor. He got fired in the spring, but he is back with a title contender. But before we talk about that, we are going to hear from our friends at JPEG Financial. Sorry about that. We're going to hear from our friends at JPEG Financial and Shamrock Home Inspections.
Do you have a 401k and some savings for future retirement, but don't even know if it's enough to live off of? How much is enough? How often are you thinking about it? The team at JPEG's Financial Group can help set your mind at ease. We specialize in creating strategies in the planning and managing of your financial, educational, and investment needs. We help clients pursue their investment goals with sound financial strategies. You deserve a personal, tailored plan. Lasting, meaningful, and open relationships are the foundation of our practice. You've worked hard for your money and should feel confident in your investment choices as you make decisions for your financial future. Your goals are our goals. We are dedicated to your needs and hopes for your future. Visit our website and give us a call at 860-430-5397. Securities offered through Raymond James Financial Services, Inc., member FINRA, SIPC. Investment advisory services offered through Raymond James Financial Services Advisors, Inc. JPEX Financial Group, LLC is not a registered broker-dealer and is independent of Raymond James Financial Services. JPEX Financial Group is located at 78 Eastern Boulevard, Glastonbury, Connecticut. There's no bigger investment than home ownership. And to make sure the house is up to your standards, you need a professional to look it over. Brian Flanagan from Shamrock Home Inspections is a licensed home inspector and a member of the Connecticut Association of Home Inspectors. Brian was a contractor for over 15 years, so he knows how homes should be constructed and how mechanicals should work.
What makes me a good home inspector was the 20 years that I was a home improvement person, doing all the different repairs that I have done and what other people have done wrong that I had to go out and fix. So I have a pretty quick eye on seeing what's right and what's wrong. Before you move, call Shamrock Home Inspections.
Before you make the biggest investment of your life, call Brian Flanagan from Shamrock Home Inspections at 860-268-2566 or visit shamrockhomeinspectionct.com.
All righty, so big news with the Bucks yesterday, and first we'll talk about what they did yesterday before we talk about what they did this morning. Yesterday the Bucks fired Adrian Griffin, and I think this was a little bit unfair. The guy had only coached 43 games. I know, Dame and him really weren't seeing eye to eye. He had Terry Stotts leaving before the season, so this was kind of a weird situation. You can argue this wasn't that good of a hire because you're hiring a first-year head coach to coach a team that's ready to win a championship. So this probably wasn't a job for a first-year head coach. But at the end of the day, I still think it's unfair that they made this decision. Unfair to Adrian Griffin with this being his first head coaching opportunity.
Yeah, it was always a weird hiring. Yeah, you mentioned I know he's been an assistant coach that's been up for some jobs and, seems like he's been close, but yeah, it felt like a weird hire. And I know too, and I've seen at times Giannis, I guess too, he'll check himself himself into a game on his own. He won't, Griffin, when he comes off the floor, when Giannis does, Griffin will kind of, put his hands up to go high five him and Giannis will ignore him. I don't think Giannis liked him. I know Bobby Portis, after they lost the Pacers in the season tournament, called him out for I forget exactly what he said, but it was about the coaching in that game. And, you mentioned the Stotts stuff before the season. So I just don't think the Giannis of the world liked him either. Portis, and the players run the league. The stars run the league. So when that happens, you're in trouble as the coach. And I think that's what happened.
Absolutely. And this just shows you that the stars absolutely run the league. Remember back in 2015 when LeBron pretty much got David Blatt fired, and he was only there for a year and a half and got the team to the NBA Finals the first year. So, yeah, the stars run the league. If you can't get along with the superstars, you are not staying. You are not staying as a head coach. And I think that's a lesson that Adrian Griffin should learn. Should definitely learn that if in your next opportunity, you better be getting along with those superstars.
Yeah, absolutely. You have to in this league. And, because, they will get rid of you very, very quickly. The good organizations can figure it out. But, most of them kind of cradle to them. And, I get it because I know even because Giannis signed a contract extension does not mean that he can still ask for a trade and want his way out of there and do whatever he wants. So I get what the Bucks are doing. And, yeah, we'll see if it works. But, they got to get a lot better defensively as well because that team played zero defense, and it may have held them back from winning a title anyways.
Yeah, you're talking about that defense. That defense needs to improve. It's 27th in the league. Yeah, that defense doesn't improve. They are not beating Boston. They're absolutely not beating Boston in the East if that defense doesn't improve.
No, they absolutely won't. So, I know we're about to get the Doc Rivers here. Maybe he can fix that, but I know we'll get. I'll share my thoughts when we get the Doc here in a second.
And speaking of Doc Rivers, that is where we're going because this morning the Bucks have hired Doc Rivers as their head coach. Doc, I don't know about this hire. He had just been fired from Philly. He's been fired from the Clippers. This is not the coach you want in the playoffs. He knows how to blow a lot of 3-1 leads. He blows a lot of leads in series. So this is not the coach. This is not the coach you would want in the postseason. I know he's got Giannis and Lillard, and we know when he won a championship, he had KG, and he had Paul Pierce, and he had Ray Allen. So when he's had the talent, he's got it done. But this is a questionable hire right here, hiring Doc Rivers, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm with you. I don't like this hire. Yeah, he's a choke artist in the playoffs, and the right thing doesn't matter for this team. It's the playoffs, and yeah, I think he's very overrated. We've seen his track record with the Clippers, and the Sixers the last couple of years of what's happened there with those teams. So yeah, I do think this is going to be a mistake in the end. Maybe with the Giannis, he finds a way to win one, but I'm not too confident. And I still like Boston more than the Bucks right now. So yeah, I didn't like the move here hiring Doc Rivers, but I think that probably tells you too. They probably have nobody on that bench that they believe could be the intern and kind of figure out a way to win a title. So it's very, very interesting one. And yeah, I don't like if I'm a Bucks fan.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. It's a questionable move. It's questionable hiring Griffin in the first place, then firing him, and then hiring Doc Rivers. And here's the thing: you got a great chance to win a championship if you're the Bucks. You got probably the best duo in the league in Lillard and Giannis, but you could be wasting that with some of these coaching moves.
Yeah, absolutely. Now you're pirate down. Now this third coach now that you got on your payroll because they're still paying Boonholzer, and obviously you still got Griffin on the payroll. So now Doc, which that can't be cheap either. So yeah, to pay three coaches, not wasting time. Yeah, it definitely could come back to haunt you. And yeah, with like Lillard, he's 33. Like he's kind of getting up there in age. You don't have a ton of time left with him. Giannis is still 29, but yeah, the team and Chris Middleton's up there at 32. So it's a team that's getting a little bit older, so their window, obviously with Giannis, it's not closing, but it's gonna be a very competitive Eastern Conference. Like, Boston's good, Sixers look pretty good. I think your Knicks got a chance as well. So after that trade, with the Nobi trade, so it's not gonna be as easy as a cakewalk as I think we all thought maybe going into the season. So, they got to win now, and we'll see if Doc can do it.
Yeah, we'll see. But speaking of teams in the Eastern Conference, Joel Embiid on Monday night put up 70 points for the Sixers in their win over the Spurs. And the big question is with Embiid, should he be the favorite for MVP? I struggle with this one. I think it's close between him, Jokic, and Luka. But I'm probably still going to say him. Because he's averaging 36 points a game. Now, don't get me wrong. He's got to get it done in the playoffs. This guy has got to get it done in the playoffs. I mean, he's just not got it done. He can't get to a conference championship game. He's not gotten done in the conference semis. But right now, as tough as it is to say, I'm going to say yes.
Yeah, I think right now he's the favorite. The only thing is though, is he going to be able to play 65 games? Because I know he's already missed 10, and he's got to play. They got 40 left, I believe. And I think he said recently too, he cares more. Like he wants to go with do with Jokic did in the Nuggets last year. So I think for him, like if he's got to sit out to make sure he's healthy for the playoffs and he misses a game or two, he's probably going to do that instead of try to get 65 games and win MVP. But at the moment, if he plays 65 games, I'm with you. I do think he is right now. He is having the best year. I was close to say, Sages Alexander. With OKC, I know Doncic is having a really good year in Dallas, but yeah, at the moment, I do have to go Joel Embiid.
Yeah, and I feel like they're not going to give it to Jokic again because they want an excuse not to give it to Jokic because Jokic is the best player in the game and should be winning the MVP every year because of how great he is.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like the same thing with Jordan, right? Like Jordan could have won the thing for 20 years, So yeah, so I get it. You kind of get tired of giving it the same guy. So I get it. You're trying to spread it out, and yeah, this could be kind of Embiid's year. So yeah, I get it. Jokic definitely is right there to win it again, but some of the voters kind of like to switch it up and give it to somebody new.
Yeah, that's kind of seeing what they like to do. They like to switch it up. But the big question is the more important thing is about the MVP. Yeah, it matters, but the more important thing for the Sixers is are they title contenders this year? Are the Sixers title contenders? Is it different this year? Are things different with the Sixers than it's been, or is it the same old Sixers? I do think they're title contenders, and I think things are a little bit different. I think the biggest reason why is because of Tyrese Maxey. This is the best number 2 that Joel Embiid has had in his career in Philly. He's much better than Ben Simmons ever was, and he's clearly better than James Harden was the last year and a half. So I think they are title contenders because Tyrese Maxey is the best number 2 Joel Embiid has had since he's been in Philly.
Yeah, I'm with you. Maxi's definitely his game has definitely improved since entering the league. His rookie year he only averaged like 8 points a game, came off the bench, I believe, and he's definitely grown every year. He's definitely improved himself every single year, and yeah, he's definitely a guy that can go out there and be the number two in scoring wise. And they got a guy in Tobias Harris at the wing. He's healthy too. You know, he's still 36% 3-point shooter, so he could still knock down threes. So I think for the Sixers, they definitely are title contenders. I just have to see them do it now. I have to see them get over this hump, and I think they can. You know, they're the 3 seed right now. You're probably gonna have to face Milwaukee in the second round, which would be a tough matchup. But if you're so, but I think for the Sixers, hiring Nick Nurse, I think it's a good one. He got a title in Toronto, but I'm with you. I think this is. I got to see him do it, but I do believe that this could be the year. Maybe the Sixers finally kind of get over the hump with a new coach as well, Nick Nurse.
Going to be interesting if Doc faces his former team. That's going to be really, really interesting to see Doc face his former team this year. And the thing about the Sixers, what you got to give them credit for, is they did what the Bucks didn't do. They hired a coach with experience, a coach that had won a championship in Toronto. They hired a coach with experience, and it's making a difference. And that's why they're only a half game behind the Bucks in the standings. And very easily can get them end up with the number 2 seed in the Eastern Conference. But they did a really good job of hiring someone with experience, and I think that's really helped this team this year.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. You know, I think it was a really good, fantastic hire with them. What they did, what Nurse did with the Toronto Raptors, because we mentioned with Doc the playoffs kind of failures over the years, with them and the Clippers, and I know he got one done there with the Celtics, but yeah, I do think coaching the NBA matters for some franchises, and I think it depends on the situation. I think Philly, it's a situation where they kind of need somebody to help them get over the hump, with the head coach, and I think Nick Nurse could be that right coach that kind of helps them here get over the hump. So I definitely think it was a great move by the Sixers to go out and get somebody that does have some success of late of winning a title.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, you definitely want to a coach that has experience, even though coaching is not as big in the NBA as it is in like the NFL or even a manager in baseball. You still want a coach to have experience because you look at LeBron with Eric Spoelstra. He's never had as good of a coach, and he's never had that kind of success getting to 4 straight NBA finals. Yeah, he did it in Cleveland, but he didn't win a couple. He didn't win 2. He only won 1 championship. He didn't win 2. So. Yeah, I mean, it's just coaching is just even though it's not as big as it is in the NFL and the NBA, it still is important. But before we wrap up talking about the NBA and get to the Baseball Hall of Fame, we'll talk about Terry Rozier going to the Heat. And I think it's a good move. I think it's a really good move for the Heat here. You got Butler, now you got Hero, now you got Rozier, now you got Bam. You almost got like 4 20-point scorers in your starting lineup. I know Bam is averaging like about 18 a game, but you almost have like 4 20-point scorers in your lineup now. This is a really good move for the Heat, and I think the Heat are in position. I don't know if they're. I mean, I don't think you say that. You got to say they're there because they've been over the last 3-4 years the team to beat in the Eastern Conference. They've won 2 Eastern Conference championships, so I'd say they're right there in the top. I'd say I put them in the top 4. I put them in the top 4 with the Sixers. I put them in the top 4 with the Celtics, the Bucks, and the Sixers. I put them in the top 4, and I know they're ahead of Cleveland, but come on, Cleveland. The Knicks took care of them in the first round, but I put the Heat in the top 4 in the Eastern Conference, and this move pretty much confirms that.
Absolutely, because if there's one organization that I feel good about that could kind of get a player mid-season and kind of acclimate them into their system, it's Miami. With Spoelstra and that organization, they've done such a great job over the years, and they are the 6th seed right now. I know they're 2.5 back of the Knicks of 5th, but they could have to face a Milwaukee or Philly right now in that first round, which would be a tough matchup, but I wouldn't be shocked to see them upset either one of those teams. But yeah, they'd be a nightmare to play. And yeah, Rozier, guys that's got playoff experience, could score in the playoffs. And, another scorer, which over the years, we know defensively is kind of their mantra. And, they did shoot the ball really well last year in the playoffs for the most part. And we know Jimmy Butler's a different animal than he is in the regular season. So, yeah, you add him in that backcourt. It's a really good backcourt.
Absolutely. Yep. Absolutely. So we will wrap up talking about the Baseball Hall of Fame, and 3 members were 3 members are going to be inducted into the Baseball Hall of Fame in in August, and all guys we all watched play. All the guys that were inducted were all guys that we watched play. Adrian Beltre, Todd Helton, and Joe Mauer. I mean, I personally saw Joe Mauer play in New Britain. That's how old I am right now. I saw Joe Mauer play for the Rockets. That's how old I'm getting. So you're in your early 30s. That's the thing. I mean, you now see, you know guys you saw play in the. You got Hall of Famers that you saw play in the, not only in the big leagues but in the minor leagues, which is crazy. But we'll start with Adrian Beltre, and he was one of the best power hitters of our generation. Yeah, you could argue with his batting average. Should he be a Hall of Famer? Should he not? Should he not be a Hall of Famer? But he deserves it. I mean, he was a 4-time All-Star, 5-time Gold Glove winner, so well deserved for Adrian Beltre getting into the Hall of Fame.
Beltre, one of my favorite third basemen watching growing up. He's fantastic defensive third baseman, and he's an absolute. Every time he stepped to play, he could always go deep on you. 3,000 hit guy, 400 home runs, and he's definitely a power hitter guy. And yeah, you mentioned the start is we're now Mauer, Beltre, and Todd Helton, 3 guys. Yeah, that I do remember watching. Now they're all getting inducted now in the Hall of Fame. But Beltre definitely deserved one of the better third basemen I've seen. Watch baseball.
And the thing is with Beltre, he got 95% of the vote. That's a lot for a guy who didn't even win an MVP. I know it's been a while. When did he retired? 2018 he retired, I think. So it's been a little bit. Yeah. It's been not that long since. If it was 2018, has he been out of the game? It's not been that long. But
looking right now.
But he got 95% of the vote. I mean that's pretty. It was 2018. 95% of the vote for a guy. So he's pretty much he's a first ballot Hall of Famer. First ballot Hall of Famer for a guy that didn't even win an MVP. So that just shows you he's a well-liked player and a well-respected player.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. And and I think we've talked about this before with some of the steroid guys. Like if you're liked by the media guys, like and the writers, they seem to kind of tip their hand that they're all going to vote for you, all that. So yeah, but he's definitely a guy that, first year all felt, he was very respected around the league. Seems like the writers kind of really liked him, but he's somebody that did not win an MVP to get 95. It's a little surprising, but like he still obviously deserves being. He had such a fantastic career. With the Rangers, the Mariners. They're like those are the 2 teams I really remember. But and then he had that year with the Sox as well.
Oh, that one year when the Sox when Pedroia and Euclid got hurt. I remember that year, and Ellsbury got hurt. I remember Sox fans saying that year, well, if we were healthy, we would have been in the World Series. But he had a great year for them that year. He had a great year. And then the one thing about his career, which I'll always say, is he got one strike away from winning a World Series with the Rangers. And he ended up not. He wasn't able to win it though because the Cardinals ended up coming back and winning that series. But he was one strike away from winning it with the Rangers.
Yeah, it's a tough one. Yeah, that's got to be one. Yeah, it's tough not to be able to get that World Series, especially they were that close. That team just could not find a way to go over the hump. But just fantastic career. With the Rangers, the Mariners, and then a couple years as well with the Dodgers. I kind of remember those years, but just a fantastic corner infielder there, and and all those kind of spots he played for.
Look at some other guys that got in. Todd Helton. When you thought of the Colorado Rockies, you thought of Todd Helton, career 316 hitter, over 300 home runs, and it was just fitting he was on that 07 team that got to the World Series, who made that run to get to the World Series. Larry Walker wasn't, but he was. He was on that Rockies team that got to a World Series in 2007 that lost to the Red Sox. Him and Matt Holliday. He was a big part of that team that won it, and you'll always think of him. He didn't play anywhere else. He was a Rocky, but well deserved getting into the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolute big slugger to the plate. Yeah, him, Holliday, Larry Walker. Those 3 in the middle of the Rockies lined up in Coors Field. Had to be very tough to pitch against. But got 2 multiple All-Stars. I think he got a Rookie of the Year as well. Just fantastic hitter. Yeah, had some of the best memories for probably Rockies fans of their franchise history. I know the last couple of years have been tough, but good to see him get in there. I think this was his last or second to last year. I know he's getting close to being left off the ballot, but yeah, glad he were able to get in, and had some great memories there for Rocky fans.
Absolutely. And then we'll wrap up with Joe Mauer, who got in on the first ballot. 76. He just got in. 70. So you got to get 75 to get in. 76% of the vote he got. And funny, as I said earlier, I remember watching him play in New Britain. I remember watching him play for the New Britain Rockets, and now he's going to the Hall of Fame. Pretty crazy. 2009 AL MVP, six-time All-Star. So, I mean, one of the best. He was on those Twins teams. Him and Moore know that those Twins teams, and we'll always remember one thing about those Twins teams. They couldn't beat the Yankees. 2003. I don't think he was on the team in 03, but 04. He was definitely a big part of those teams in 2010 and 2009 and 2010 that couldn't beat the Yankees. Really, though, he was a part of those Twins teams that just couldn't get over the hump. They had some great runs, those Twins teams. They won the Central a bunch of times. They got to the playoffs. I think 2000. Remember 04 when they lost to the Yankees. I think they got their 06 loss to the A's. 2009 lost to the Yankees. 2010 got lost to the Yankees. So those teams with Ron Gardenhire just couldn't get over the hump against the Yankees. But he was an excellent player, and it's crazy to say I saw him play in New Britain.
That's crazy. Yeah, I did not. It's not because he played 01 in New Britain, right?
He was 03. He was 03 in New Britain. 03.
Yeah, year before I moved to Connecticut, so I did not see, but I would have only been like 5 at the time. But but yeah, Mauer, I always liked watching Mauer play. It was a cool story. He was, from St. Paul, Minnesota, kind of the hometown kid. Him and Justin Morneau, the M&M boys, they, those Twin teams were always fun to watch. Yeah, it's too bad they were never able to get over the hump. But a guy too, I know his catching career got kind of cut short there with all the concussions, but still, career 300 hitter. I think his on base was in the 380s. Like somebody just really did a great job getting on base. But he was just so consistent as a hitter, and would have been cool to see those guys get to a World Series at one point. But fantastic hitter. Won some Gold Gloves as well. So Joe Mauer, fantastic baseball player. Always liked watching him growing up.
He definitely was. But that is going to wrap it up this week on Sports Talk with R&J. For Justin D'Onofrio, I'm Steve Risser. We will be back next week recapping the conference championship games, start to get you ready for the Super Bowl, and talking about a big week of UConn basketball as they host Providence and play Rick Pitino and the Johnnies in the Garden. So have a great weekend, everyone. Have a great weekend, everyone, and enjoy conference championship weekend.
Jones on first down, wide open, it's Barkley. And Saquon Barkley will take it into the end zone.
Your best ability is availability. Saquon Barkley, he's great when he's on the field, but the problem is since 2018, he hasn't been healthy for this team.
Look at this. They lob it to him. He taps it in off the glass. How about that?
Porter Moser, I think right now is the best coach in college basketball, hands down.
Fins 2 for 3. He's done his part. Pitch is drilled to deep right field toward the pole, and it is gone.
They don't mind not being what they were in the 90s as the best organization in baseball, because the Yankees aren't even close to the best organization in baseball.
You're trying to be the Rays, and the Rays do this for a reason. Like, you're the Yankees.
Hello, my name is Joe Aguirre. I'm the president of Clovercrest Media Group. And here at CMG, we have a wide variety of podcasts, including sports shows like Keys to the City, The Roll Call, Throwing Jabs, All Four Downs, and Jawing About the G-Men. And great true crime shows like Sticky Week, Crimes and Consequences, Ivy League Murders, and Bird, the unsolved murder of David Eichmann. You can find all these podcasts and so much more by visiting clovercrestmedia.com.